There is one thing about outbound marketing that I've been thinking about for a while now, and I think it's something that not enough people are taking seriously enough. And I think that if outbound isn't working for you, the thing you need to be thinking about is how can you create an offer that converts cold traffic? And I think this is more important than any trigger or crazy workflow or anything that you can set up. And so the reason I wanted to make this video is because I have been the worst at this. And I see it on LinkedIn all the time too, but I'm just going to say that I'm the worst at this. That I think we talk a lot about this cool AI automation or this cool, crazy, new hack or something that we can do. But I think if we're to take any amount of effort that we put into trying to make a better, play table or new scraping thing, if we were to think about audience segmentation and the offer that we're going to use to convert that cold traffic, I think that's a lot better spent time. And so I'm going to show some examples. Maybe I'll rant a little bit, but let's hop into some examples. So this document is the GEX Wrapped 2024 document. And one thing that I included here that I'm taking as an excerpt for this video is literally this section called Create an Offer for Cold Traffic. And I'll link this doc in the description if you haven't seen it and everything. But so I can't often do this experiment as cleanly for our customers because I'm not in control of their offer. Sometimes we'll help them position their offer, but for my agency, I'm in complete control of my offer. And so what I wanted to show you was 3 different versions of campaigns that we sent and the actual positive responses that came with it. And I want you to see how we ratchet up the value every time. And it's not really, I mean, yeah, we're using some clay table stuff, but really the success is because we have an offer that resonates with people, not so much the crazy clay things that we do. And so if outbound campaigns aren't working for you, I'm going to go over at the end some ways that we can think about easily shaking up your offer a little bit to see if it'll work for outbound email. And so for this one, we emailed people that didn't have a DMARC on their DNS settings, but they had SDRs on their team. So we could say subject emails and spam. Hey, first name. So we had folks like employee name mention. So like Brian as SDRs on the team, and I had to figure we're doing some cold emailing. I ran a report and saw your domain doesn't have DMARC on it, and that could lead to some problems. We send 1.5 million. We're actually at 3 now. Would be useful to meet, and we could do a free deliverability audit. The reason I point out the DMARC is if you send an email and it's not enabled, your emails instantly go to spam. Turning it on takes 5 minutes. So basically, I'm trying to just share as much expertise about this as I possibly can. And as you can see, not very many people care. I mean, yeah, we got some positive responses on this, but it wasn't a gangbusters campaign that you'd want to write home about, right? So just saying, hey, I think you're going to spam. I could help you. Would you want to? Nice and simple like that, right? But when we ratchet this up and we say, hey, we'll provide a free list for you. So we say subject list. Hey, first name. So you had folks like employee name as SDRs on the team. We help companies generate more opportunities with cold email. And the most popular list is a list of people who are newly hired in their roles. Looks like you target. And then we would say VPs of finance and CEOs or something like this. Would it be useful if I made a list of these folks and I sent it to you, right? And so the list segmentation here was founders with small sales teams as well, and they were B2B. And so obviously we got a way, way, way higher positive response rate on this campaign than the previous campaign, right? And so I think it's because this DMARC thing, not so many people know what I'm talking about here. It's a little bit nebulous of exactly what it means. But here, this is like, hey, do you want a list of newly hired people in their roles? And we'll get these job titles. Would you want to talk? A little bit better of a campaign because we're going to give them a free list, right? Now, this campaign was a banger, and it was a far, far better campaign, but look what we do. Subject, more customers like case study. So we use Claygen to pull the case study. I cannot believe how often I get emails now of people referencing the case studies on my website. And I like to think that was a little bit of my doing, and I hope that was kind of my doing, but I really appreciate all of you who watch the YouTube channel and do that. But now I get a lot of emails like this. Hey, first name, saw that work you did with case study and wanted to connect. I personally like sentences like this, where basically it's pretty nebulous if this is a customer who's trying to reach out or a sales email. One of my friends, Taylor Haren, probably one of the best cold emailers on the planet. He hates lines like this, and I hope one day he shows a replacement of it, but he doesn't like lines like this. We help companies get leads with emails just like this, and everything starts with a free campaign. Okay, so we can launch campaigns for free for people, which I can talk about more if anybody wants me to, but I don't know how useful that would be. We launched a campaign for you and give any leads generated straight to your inbox. We've already done this for 7 companies last week and want to see if we could run a test for you. Want to meet next week about what a test could look like. P.S. How you helped Intercom with their support or whatever was a great showcase of your auto props, would be a great to feature in that test. So we got way more hits, way more positive responses in this campaign, right? And now, of course, each level like this, all this would take is just a call, and I don't have to do any preparation. I would just hop on a call with somebody and get this going. This basically takes 5 minutes of work and just one click filter, and we would be able to provide this to them. And then this obviously takes the most amount of time, right? But look how many positive responses we got in comparison to everything else, right? And so the lesson that I basically want to talk about here is see the difference in the positive responses when we ratcheted up the offer and made the offer much more useful to people than. And yes, each time it required more and more time and investment from us, but see how much more worth it was. And so I think the ListKit guys are geniuses when it comes to this. I know Daniel Fazio and team, they're running a front end. Hey, we can do a cold email infrastructure setup for you that is completely plug and play, and you get to use it. It's $1,500 one time, and then after that, you just run the system, and then use ListKit on the back end, right? So that's how they could take not a boring offer, but a commoditized list building offer, and then create new cold email customers. Because if you're already tied to Apollo or ZoomInfo or LeadIQ or Seamless or whatever you're using, it might be hard to get somebody to switch. But they're creating new cold email customers and then liquidating their ad spend on the front end and then acquiring those customers and then getting the long-term MRR by saying, hey, the way you're going to get lists is by using ListKit. Probably one of the best showcases of a front-end offer that acquires customers, that liquidates their ad spend, and then gets them into a long-term, like higher retaining offer, like needing lists constantly for your campaigns, right? I can't think of a better company that has done a launch, had their product, and then made a front-end offer. Now, you don't have to go that far and create a whole new business unit within your company, right? They're setting up inboxes for people. They have ListKit. I'm sure Christian Bonier, I'm so sorry, Christian, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I'm sure Christian is, writing a lot of the email scripts because it comes with the email script and everything. And so you might not have the expertise where you can have or expertise on your team to be able to just create another offer. But I think this is something that's really important, that while everybody is talking about triggers and the next cool thing that you can do, you still want to be able to have an email that you can send to everybody in your market and just know your math to just say, hey, we are going to get this result for people, right? And so I thought I had a pretty good grasp of this, and Enzo Carasso taught me something in one of our last videos that I want to share. But I would basically tell people, hey, every business is based on knowledge arbitrage. There is something that you know about your business and your market that your customers wish that you know. And so anytime people talk about lead magnets or front-end offers and all these things, it doesn't have to be this crazy implementation where you're going to do all this work for free for them and all these other things. There's a way that you can have a light lift and say, I mean, nobody really cared about the DMARC thing, but that's because I think most people don't really understand how big of an impact this has. And this is like a solution unaware kind of email. Like, these people just don't, if you know what you're doing, you're going to fix this. And if you don't know what you're doing, you have no clue what I'm talking about. So that's probably the problem with this campaign. But so there is probably something that that you could show people and it could lead into your solution. For instance, we had one customer who knew how to optimize Google ad spends for their customers, and they've done things for Gymshark and Gong and just all these other things. And so then they would say, hey, let's hop on a call and we can talk about things that we're doing for our customers to reduce their Google ad spend. And if you're comfortable, we could look at your account and we can immediately try to point out some ways that you're wasting money on your Google ads. The last person I helped to do this saved $4,000 off of a 20-minute call. I hope we can make it worth it for you, right? Way different than just, hey, we provide Google ad services, right? And so Enzo, the thing that he taught me is, I was always talking about that knowledge arbitrage. Enzo, the way he frames it, no pun intended, is he talks about it as it's our system, or it's our framework, or it's our repeatable process. He told me something that I can't believe I hadn't thought of before, but he was basically saying they don't really pitch case studies anymore. They basically say, hey, we have a repeatable process that we implemented for case study, and it created this thing. Would you want to see what this process looks like? It created this result. And I think the little psychological difference in that is when you just say, oh, we have this case study, it's like, okay, whatever. But when you say you have a framework and you can show them that framework, it gets a lot more interesting. And so they don't have to do a whole lot of preparation on their own sales calls, or when they have their customers as well too, because it's a framework that you probably know really well. How many times on this channel have I said cold outbounds to get positive responses comes down to three things: inbox infrastructure, list building, and then copywriting, right? That is the framework, and that's just what we preach over and over and over and over again. Now, of course, those buckets have lots of little things in them. Like I say, always keep at least 50% of your sending capacity in warm-up, so you always have extra inboxes. When you're doing list building, we double verify the leads, and we use Clay to do research that we normally would do manually, but we work backwards automatically. And then campaign copywriting, keep it under 100 words, try to write it like a human, all this other stuff, right? And so the thing that I would think about is, how can you create something that, if you're not getting the responses that you want in cold email, what can you do to create a offer that is made for cold traffic? A lot of times it's based off of information arbitrage. A lot of times there's work that you could do for somebody for free. There's free trials. There is frameworks, and you could say, hey, we have this framework for you, right? There's a lot of different things that you might be able to do that can make it more appealing for somebody to respond to your email than just, hey, let's just talk at you and give you a demo and things like that. And so I think about this a lot. I think I've said it multiple times, but I've never put it into a YouTube video, and I've been planning this for a little while. So I hope you appreciate it, and let's get back to sending tons of email.